I want to give you an opportunity
Sure,
to tell us what life is like
sure.
in Ukraine right now, because you're still living there 3 years into
Right,
this war
right,
now. And I'd like you to share with our viewers what that's like.
sure. It all began again after the initial invasion back in 2014. That's really where it all started, right? And that's where the violence began, and that's what just continues today up until the full-scale invasion. As I said, that initial invasion really brought Ukrainians together, and they saw the threat in real time, in real life, in their experiences, where their lands began to be occupied, and you saw the threat that they faced. And that really created the political will to change. That led to the constitutional amendments that I talked about, creating these independent commissions and councils, and also, quite importantly, developing the infrastructure to address corruption. So that provided the impetus for creating a special anti-corruption investigator, a special anti-corruption prosecutor, and that for high-level corruption, to really eliminate it from the very beginning, to investigate it. But one piece was missing. The piece that was missing was a court to adjudicate those cases. So the investigations and the prosecutions of these high-profile corruption cases were ending up in ordinary courts with judges who had limited ability and limited experience to deal with high-profile corruption cases and the pressure associated with them. So one of the things that we were asked to do is look around models around the world where these issues have been developed and addressed. And the idea to create an anti-corruption court was born back then in 2016. We looked at other anti-corruption courts in the world. There are 20 around the world right now, but in neighboring Slovakia and Croatia, they have anti-corruption courts that we looked at as a model. And that created this seam of accountability. So you'd have a specialized investigator, a specialized prosecutor, and specialized judges with the tools and the knowledge, skills, and abilities to handle these complex corruption cases. And what was interesting about that process, because the public had low levels of public trust in the judiciary overall, and low confidence in the ability for these institutions to elect judges, was this innovation to have candidates for this anti-corruption court vetted by a panel of 6 internationals, which has never been done before. And we were able to support that process. And we're seeing the benefits from that, where you have these higher standards of review of candidates and the confidence that was brought by having internationals involved in the vetting process. And we're seeing that court today as one of the most respected courts in the country.
And continuing to function effectively despite the wartime circumstances.
Despite the wartime circumstances. And that court is doing so well that there's a process now to add more judges to that court. And one of the things that I thought when this idea first came up, I thought every court should be an anti-corruption court, right? And that's the way it should be. But one of the things that I have learned, having this type of specialization for these high-profile cases can have an effect, especially in a country that is impacted so much by corruption.
Right.
And we're seeing them hold the highest, former ministers, former chief justices, all have appeared in this court for corruption cases that have been tried. So that's something that never would have happened before. And you don't see this in many other countries. But you have that level of accountability, which is really important to build the rule of law and to promote democracy. And an important aspect of this, and this is something that we had seen as a result of other work, is the importance, and this is an important principle of the rule of law, is legal certainty and predictability. And really how this element of the rule of law is important for not only combating corruption, but also promoting investment. So we've seen this correlation between the level of de facto independence and economic growth. And there have been studies on this that show the more independence that judges have, that contributes to growth, economic growth, and business opportunity, including, more importantly, the protection of property rights and investment rights. And we see that this, over time, can make a big difference, not only to foreign investment, but also the domestic investment that people want to promote. And I think that's a key element of the rule of law going forward, is this link between independence of the judiciary and how they contribute to the economic growth and the economic competitiveness of the jurisdiction because you've got that independence and promoting the growth and employment in a particular country. So I think that's a key element that I think should be understood, this link between rule of law and the economy.